Welcome to the adventures of the traveling gypsy. We are in New York right now, in Long Island.
We're going on an adventure, Charlie. A magical adventure. I'm at the waterfall.
Daddy's girl, she wanna be an actress and a singer like Sabina. And she a movie buff, but she ain't seen breakfast at Tiffany's, a breakfast club. That's just before her time, so hard to keep a conversation. When your mind's on vacation, you got pretty green eyes, I can see them dollar signs, girl.
Guys, are we going on an adventure? Say hi. It's adventure time, guys. Stay tuned.
So on this week's adventure, we went to Lansford State Park, and that's where Lansford Canal is. And basically, the canal was built in 1823, or it was completed in 1823, and it was built to bypass the shoals at Lansford on the Catawba River. The Lansford Canal was constructed by local slaves and skilled white labor recruited from the north. Completed in 1823, Lansford Canal was 12 feet wide, 10 feet deep, and 2 miles long, which explains why it was such a long walk. The Lansford Canal is a navigation channel that opened in 1823 with the purpose of bypassing rapids along the Catawba River to allow efficient freight transport and rapid travel between nearby communities and settlements along the rural frontiers of the era. It had 5 locks operating over a stretch of 2 miles with an elevation change overall of 32 to 34 feet. It was part of the inland navigation system from the upcountry to Charleston, built systematically from 1819, and the navigations are today the centerpiece of the Canal State Park. So one cool fact I found is that the canal was not a financial success. In 1824, one of the locks collapsed due to a poor foundation. Canal traffic, which was never high, had apparently ceased by 1840. The granite locks and the lockkeeper's house are the only things that survived. The Lansford Canal was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1969. And it says here that additional pictures, architectural drawings, and information about the lockkeeper's house are available from the Historic American Building Survey at the Library of Congress. The documentation indicates that the lockkeeper's house at Lansford Canal was moved from Rocky Mount Canal near Great Falls downstream. So according to the literature that was here on a little plaque, this is where the gatekeeper's house once was. I guess the canal keeper's house, not the gatekeeper. And it's no longer there. And it's really crazy because it was like this big house and it's absolutely gone. Like, that stuff is like such a mind-blowing thing to me. So the kids had a blast running through the dam, and we actually, after we went through our footage, captured what we think are ghosts in this picture. And as you can see, I've circled them, but you know, we could be crazy. Let me know if you see them too. So after we reached the end of the canal trail, we turned around and headed back and on yet another adventure. We ended up walking 2.5 miles to the end of the canal and then 2.5 miles back. So we walked a total of 4.95 miles, give or take. We are at an abandoned cemetery right now. The graves are super old. So we went to this old cemetery that was made before the Civil War, I believe. And it's called the Old Stone Cemetery. And basically, it's so old and pretty much abandoned. Like, no one really takes care of it. It just pretty much looks like a bunch of stones in the woods. And if you look closely, you'll notice that there's some graves. It was kind of creepy. Definitely felt a lot of energy there. A lot of presences there. And we actually did capture some ghosts in our pictures. And I have posted them so you can take a look and see if you see anything. So basically, the cemetery was pre-Civil War burials and some Civil War burials. So the earliest burial in the cemetery was 1777 and the latest was 1913. So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of sad. Like, it was a little bit sad just kind of because it was almost like a forgotten, you know what I mean? Like the land of the forgotten. It was just kind of like a bunch of graves that no one comes to visit anymore, except for people who are history buffs like me and my friend. But it was really cool to see the old graves, and we tried to make a lot of them out, but some of them were just so old and weathered you couldn't even see, you know, who was buried there. And then some of them, like, I guess back in the day when people couldn't afford headstones, which are obscenely priced, let me just say, even nowadays they're really expensive, but some people couldn't afford headstones, so they would just put a rock on top of the grave, and they would just know, like, that's where so and so was buried. But it was just really sad to see just so many unkempt graves and so many graves that you couldn't even tell who was buried there. It was a little disheartening, but it was still really awesome to see. We also saw a bunch of skeletons by the graveyard entrance, and it was really weird because I've never seen a skull that looked like this before. So if anyone knows what this is, let me know in the comments. And that concludes our adventure. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, guys, love and light.